So Muslims are praying in the streets of Canada, which is something that is technically about to be illegal. At least that's what MPs are trying to push for, is no more praying in the streets. You want to pray, you go to a place of worship, or you do it on private property or in your own home. Canadians have previously been arrested for waving a Canadian flag on Parliament Hill, but now you have literal 10-foot by 10-foot Palestinian flags that are being waved in front of Parliament Hill and Parliament Hill, and nothing is really of concern. Trudeau gets roasted at a ski village restaurant, which is quite funny, and a couple other things that we're going to be taking a look at in this video. Oh yeah, along with the breaking news, in case you missed it, of Trudeau being backstabbed by his own party and likely to be forced out of being a party leader, which has nothing to do with Parliament. It's actually the internal board of directors of the Liberal Party is about to boot him out. Yep, I think that's about everything we're going to take a look at in this video. Maybe a couple other things. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe. I would really like it. And we're on route to, I think, 440,000 subscribers. And it'd be pretty sweet if we got there before the new year. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Starting things off with the breaking news, in case you missed the live stream that took place yesterday. So right here, you've got, wow, Trudeau is about to get backstabbed by his own caucus. His entire party wants him gone. They admit that they have no chance with him as a Liberal leader. Justin, it's time to call an election, or you're about to be a victim of the biggest coup of the Liberal Party's history. Give up. Also known, by the way, as being Joe Biden. That's quite literally about to happen to Justin. So there was this letter here that was sent out from a Liberal MP, and it's basically saying that the Atlantic Liberals, the East Coast, who to be the bad guys, don't have confidence in Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Liberal Party. And what they're doing is, instead of asking Trudeau to resign, they're going to the Liberal Board of Directors. Right? They've sent the letter to the chair and representative, the board of directors, for an internal, basically new appointed interim leader of the Liberal Party. So this can actually happen. In that regard, let's look at the last paragraph here. In that regard, I have been instructed to write to our National Caucus chair calling for an urgent National Caucus meeting in early January to discuss the next steps. The Liberal Party of Canada's constitution should be invoked to allow caucus to be involved in appointing an interim leader. Now, Liberal MPs are not the ones to appoint their new leader. They don't vote on it. Canadian citizens, Liberal supporters don't vote on it. It's actually the board of directors, that appoints a interim leader until there's an election. Now, this is something that I stressed about in this emergency live stream that I did just yesterday, that this could really happen. By the book, this is actually technically supposed to happen because there's over a third of the Liberal MPs that no longer have confidence in Justin Trudeau. So it's not necessarily a question of if it's going to happen. It's a question of it should, and it might or might not, depending on how corrupt everything really is. But if it does, I have my own personal speculations that Chrystia Freeland will be the one to take over as interim party leader. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Either way, it's not looking good for Justin Trudeau, and all road signs are leading, all roads are paved to the inevitable election in the next 2 to 3 months, federal election. So doesn't matter if Trudeau's running the show or if it's somebody else. It's not really looking good for them. And speaking of not really looking good, you have Canadians that are already choosing to wave American flags because Canada may or may not be annexed by America. Let's take a look here.
It's big time here today, and I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm a North American now. In my front yard, I'm hanging this flag because my country has turned its back on its people, and now they're forcing legal gun owners, registered gun owners, to give up their firearms. So I stand with America. I want to join the club. Please let me in, Donald Trump.
Please let me in. So swapping out, waving your Canadian flag for an American flag wasn't exactly on my bingo card of things that people be doing ever in Canada. But hey, it seems like a lot of people out there actually do want to be annexed to some degree by America. Let me know if you are one of them. Now we have to take a look at this massive blow up into, I guess, foreign workers here. So you have, starting in January, platforms like Uber and DoorDash need to report driver income to Revenue Canada, which is insane because for the longest time, those two employees, I guess they're not even employees, they're more like contractors. From my understanding, you would sign up for Uber, go through maybe a screening process, and same thing with DoorDash and other apps like it. And then you would become a not employee, so you're not on a payroll, but you are on the contract work. So you get paid based off of how much you work, and then you self-report those income taxes. But now that's not the case. Now wages for them are going to be coming down, and they're going to be put on a form of payroll, it seems, based off of how much they're working. So just the pay structure is different. What it means is less pay, more in taxes. So that strike did not work too well. That kind of blew up in their face. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. And then for those that missed it, I did post this on my extra channel the other day. Now, if you don't follow it, click the link down below in the description. Go follow Mr. Sunshine Extra or Jasper Sun. I'm trying to get that over to 30,000 subscribers before the new year. I don't know if it can happen, but again, this is a very funny clip of Justin Trudeau being roasted while sitting at a ski village restaurant. So we've all seen the clip of him being told to get the heck out of BC by a very patriotic Canadian lady. Well, this one is a little bit different. Let's take a look.
Yeah, that's him, all right.
Okay, so someone sitting there having happy hour drinks, or après, as they're called, and that's the ski term. You go down for the après, you go down after you're done skiing for the day, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. You have drinks, you have food. Usually it's discounted fees. So he's sitting at his table having something to eat or to drink, and he pulls up the photo of blackface Trudeau, points it at Trudeau sitting literally next to him, having a drink there on the table, maybe a couple other drinks and some water, and says, "Yup, that's him."
Yeah, that's him, all right. Yeah, that's him, all right.
Oh my goodness. No matter where he goes, no matter what he does, there's just no escaping reality, Trudeau. You suck. Everybody wants you out. It doesn't even matter if you go abroad to other countries. People are going to be there recording you, going, screw this guy, F you, Trudeau, get out of our country. We don't want your communist crap coming to their country, right? But here in Canada, it happens everywhere all the time. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. In terms of the ski village roasting and heckling and all that stuff, there is a lot of controversy out there. A lot of people are going, yeah, that's awesome. There are some people out there, even conservatives, that are saying, whoa, that's crossing a line. It's happening in front of kids. It's happening in front of, family members or whatever. He's not working. Don't do that to the guy. And to that, I say people are going to be doing it regardless of whether it's appropriate or not appropriate. What I'm going to do is show the footage, usually with a smile on my face, and say, look at what happened. That's really unfortunate for Trudeau. Anyways, so it's going to happen regardless. And keep in mind, Trudeau did screw over 41 plus million Canadians with his tyrannical behavior and communist acts over the years. So is it warranted? Is it not warranted? Either way, it's going to happen. And speaking of happening here, we've got soon to be illegal prayer happening in the streets of Canada, specifically in what appears to be Montreal. It's right outside. So instead of going inside for prayer, this is happening outside. And again, this is in Montreal. That is crazy to me. I don't get that. I don't particularly like that. If you want to have a different religious perspective in Canada, you're more than welcome to do so. I think that's one of the nice things about living in what's supposed to be the free world, is that you are allowed to have different beliefs. But expressing those beliefs in the street like that, I don't know, man. That's a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like that. It has nothing to do with it being, well, that's not Christian. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. I think it's just, you shouldn't really be doing that public prayer. It should be in a place of worship. But again, that's a bill that's soon to be potentially passed, where they're trying to basically ban public prayer from happening. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. Next up, we got to take a look here at a little bit throwback to 2023, where this is right outside Parliament. These are the parliamentary gates here. Now, I have to mute the audio because there is some music in the background, but there's Parliamentary Protective Services, which is basically the police of the Parliament. They are arresting a gentleman who is waving a Canadian flag. That is not allowed, apparently. And we've seen this time and time again, where police are definitely abusing their power by doing that and acting tyrannical. Well, in a new video that just happened this weekend, you have these massive Palestinian flags waved right in front of Parliament, and the police are there and nothing seems to be going wrong. Well, it is the winter time, and even though there's not a lot of snow on the ground, the temperature has gotten significantly colder, and you're seeing a lot less people join in on those protests than you did in the summer months. And it's just kind of bizarre that these protests are still going on. Canada has literally nothing to do with that war, but they're not just happening in Canada. They're happening across the country, across the world, specifically in America. Of all places, Texas. That's right. These pro-Palestinian protests are happening in Texas. Yeah, and they do involve horses, as you can imagine. I cannot believe what I'm seeing, but let's take a look. Yeah, I don't see that lasting too long, or that kind of ending very well. I feel like a lot of people in Texas may, in the long run, have a bit of an issue with that one, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. Do you think that these pro-Palestinian protests should be happening? Do you think they should not be happening? Let me know your rationale down below. Next up, we're going to take a look here at a video of Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump and how tensions are rising, especially with the fact that we are 2.5 weeks away from the 25% tariffs being added literally to Canada. That's a pretty big deal. Let's take a look.
Justin Trudeau. Another member of his party is publicly demanding for him to step down as Prime Minister. Joining us now to talk about the latest in Canadian politics is Don Abelson from McMaster University. Thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, Magdalena.
So Calgary Liberal MP George Chahal publishing a letter saying he's had enough of Trudeau's leadership. What do you think? Is it time for Trudeau to step down, and do you think he will?
Well, ultimately, it's going to be the Prime Minister's decision. We saw what played out in the United States several months ago with Joe Biden facing, critics from his own party. He ended up deciding to step down and allow Kamala Harris to run in his place. But these are such sensitive conversations and issues that they really should be discussed behind closed doors. It's humiliating for leaders. It's embarrassing. And at the very least, I think the Prime Minister deserves the respect for members of his party who have concerns, of course, but these should be discussed behind closed doors.
Interesting. And Conservative MP John Williamson says he'll put forward a non-confidence motion at a meeting on January 7th. If passed, it could bring down the government and trigger an election. How likely is this to happen?
I mean, it certainly could happen. There are a lot of moving parts right now. Prime Minister Trudeau is well aware of concerns within his party and his ability to lead. This is a very difficult decision for him to make, but at the end, he has to decide what is in the best interest of the country, not what is in the best interest for his political future.
Shifting gears now, President-elect Donald Trump once again firing shots at Trudeau, calling him governor on Twitter right after Christmas and reiterating his idea to have Canada as the 51st state. Is this an indication that tension is rising between the two leaders?
Well, they had a fairly rocky relationship during the first term of Trump's presidency. You know, these are antics that he often employs in order to get under the skin of world leaders. And Justin Trudeau will certainly find himself in the firing line, for the first few months of his presidency, unless, of course, he steps down before that happens. What Donald Trump is doing is baiting the prime minister. And the key is don't take the bait. The president elect, soon to be president of the United States, often employs these strategies. He's delusional if he thinks that he's going to convince Canada to become the 51st state. He's completely delusional if he thinks that Denmark is going to give up Greenland, or if the United States.
I don't think he's delusional at all. As we've seen in the start of this video, it already is kind of working. You've got Canadians that are waving American flags going, you know what? I'd rather be a proud North American than a singularly proud Canadian. And so we're seeing this kind of shift into a new narrative that is no longer in control of Trump or Trudeau, and it's just left up to the people. This is something that I can't even believe has never really even had a public conversation about until Trump has joked about it, right? Not once in the past ever really has Canada been under this type of social pressure where massive American, YouTubers and influencers, whatever you want to call them, are posting about, hey, Canada, I know you guys want to join us, man. We got better rights and all this stuff, and you guys would make a great addition. Like, this is craziness. But also, are we really going to entertain this idea? I don't know. Some people are, some people aren't. Let me know down below if you guys are entertaining this at all.
And if the United States is going to regain control of the Panama Canal. But these are just shots across the bow. It's not to say that Canada shouldn't take these issues seriously. We have to prepare for the second term. And I know that's what the Prime Minister and his advisors have been thinking about over the last several weeks.
You mentioned strategy. So is this sort of part of Trump's strategy? Perhaps he's not crazy about Trudeau and he knows he's weak right now, his own party coming after him. If he baits him online, is this sort of adding to that? Is he trying to weaken him in a way?
Well, he's trying to weaken him. He's trying to humiliate him. He's trying to embarrass him. But the reality is the bilateral relationship between Canada and the United States is among the most important relationships in the world. We share the longest undefended border on the globe, close to 9,000 kilometers in length. We engage in excess of $3 billion in two-way trade each day. What Prime Minister Trudeau and his advisors have to do is to convince the incoming Trump administration how important this relationship is and how critical it is to cooperate and to collaborate on issues that have become the focus of concern, whether it's the border, Canada's commitment with respect to defense and other sectors. It's very, very important for this relationship to remain strong and resilient. And we've seen throughout the course of our history with the United States that there have been some, very difficult times between our prime ministers and presidents. But this is why it is important for the relationship to endure, both at a personal level and certainly at a state level. But we're going to have to see what pans out. We'll likely see more of this from Donald Trump in the weeks and months to come, but Canada has to have an effective strategy to deal with the second Trump administration.
Well, you mentioned it's one of the strongest relationships in the world, and there are a lot of Canadians who are fond of Trump. So is this not a good look for Trump?
Well, it is. And again, what Donald Trump is trying to do is not only exploit the weaknesses of Justin Trudeau, but to reach out to Canadians who indeed support his policies, who also share concerns about the economy and immigration commitments on the world stage. So this drives a further wedge between Justin Trudeau and Canadians who we would have to depend on for support should he decide to remain before the next election.
Two of Trudeau's ministers ended their Christmas break early, Dominic LeBlanc and Melanie Joly, speaking to Trump's new administration regarding those proposed tariffs. Is this an action plan, and how likely is it to work?
Yeah, it is part of an action plan, and Canada is being proactive. They understand what kind of impact a 25% tariff would have on our economy, which would be devastating. So we have to, think about what options we have at our disposal to work with our allies in the Trump administration, our allies on Capitol Hill, and throughout the bureaucracy to ensure that our voices are heard. So Canada must remain a strong advocate for our interests. Of course, we represent two very different countries. At times, our interests align nicely, but we need to be proactive. We can't simply sit back and react. We need to have a plan moving forward and figure out what the best approach will be over the next 4 years.
And we'll have our eyes on it. Don, thanks for your expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if the Liberal Party is going to last 4 years. They're in a total state of panic right now. And to kind of conclude this video, we're going to wrap things up with just the reality of it all. So right here, this is to tie in that first letter that I read. Another Liberal MP demands Justin Trudeau resigns, but there's a catch. If Trudeau steps down, Canada faces a 3-month leadership race plus 37 days for an election, delaying a vote until the summertime. If he stays and loses non-confidence, an election could happen in 2 months from now. Canadians deserve a voice now, not months of Liberal delays. Here we go. Let's take a look.
Letting up on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, with yet another voice within his own party demanding his resignation. Calgary Liberal MP George Chahal has joined public calls for change, publishing a letter that doesn't mince words about how he's had enough of Trudeau's leadership. Mackenzie Gray joins us now from Ottawa. Mackenzie, what's Chahal saying?
Well, he is absolutely eviscerating the Prime Minister, Anne, in a letter Chahal sent to his caucus colleagues that he is now sharing publicly. Any rational individual in a position of leadership would resign, Chahal said. Any group of individuals providing advice based on data and logic would reach the same conclusion. Unfortunately, a small cabal have decided to pursue a reckless strategy of mutually assured political destruction, leading to one of the most pointed calls from a Liberal parliamentarian yet. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau no longer has the support of caucus, and to maintain some dignity, he should immediately tender his resignation. The Prime Minister is said to be reflecting on his political future while vacationing in BC, but Chahal doesn't want to wait for Trudeau, writing to the Liberal Party president, saying, "I would urge the Liberal Party of Canada board to immediately plan for a leadership race, regardless of the Prime Minister's formal resignation." The current Liberal Party constitution says a leadership race must be a minimum of 90 days, time the party might not have, Anne, with an election that could be forced by the opposition within months.
Now we are heading...
So this is kind of the caveat is there could be a leadership race, there could be prorogation, or there could just be the board of directors for the Liberal Party appoints an interim Liberal Party leader. And that could be anyone from Chrystia Freeland to Dominic LeBlanc to any other name brand, for lack of better words, Liberal MP, right? Because they wouldn't just pick a backbencher. They pick somebody on the front, somebody who has a bit of a name already. But we're going to have to wait and see, guys. This is pretty exciting. We got 2 weeks of uncertainty and total chaos until we have a little bit more answers.
For a federal election, with polls showing most Canadians now favor casting a ballot early in 2025, could this topple the Liberals?
Well, it certainly could, Anne, and that's what the Conservatives are hoping for, with their plan to bring a non-confidence motion at the committee level in early January to try and bring the government down. And the NDP are saying they will vote with the Conservatives, which would be the first time post-supply and confidence agreement that the NDP wouldn't back the Liberals. But the New Democrats seem to think it might not actually lead to an election.
One
Referencing back to this vote in 2005, despite losing a non-confidence motion in the House of Commons brought forward from a committee, Paul Martin's Liberals deemed they didn't actually need to ask for an election, and his government continued. Now, the Conservatives had told Global News they plan to structure this motion to make sure the government will fall, but none of this might actually matter, Anne, if the Prime Minister quits. In that scenario, he's likely to prorogue Parliament, shutting down the Commons to allow for a leadership race, meaning votes like this and any other confidence motions could actually be months away.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa.
I choose to identify as not believing that Trudeau is going to prorogue government. But again, we're dealing with a narcissist who wants to cling on to power for as long as he possibly can. This is my opinion. It's likely a shared opinion with you. And even the mainstream media agrees that Trudeau is narcissistic. He's a monster and he wants to cling on to power for as long as he possibly can. So he's left with very few options. Face a non-confidence and win versus losing, prorogue government, get booted out of being a leader, or go through an internal leadership race and then face an inevitable early election. There's quite a few different options, and that's all we're aware of today, right now. Who knows what the Conservatives are going to find deep down in the cellar in the rule book library deep under Parliament, or what the NDP or even the Liberals are going to be able to do in the next couple of weeks. Nobody knows. We're all left here wondering, I just want to have a good night's sleep, and I don't want Trudeau to be the leader, and none of us are going to be fully satisfied until we get that closure that we deserve, that you deserve, of Trudeau losing that election, Pierre gaining power, and just simply the tax. Cut the carbon tax, bring gas down 20, 30 cents day one, and then we got some breathing room and we can get back to a bit of normalcy. That's the end of the video, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel and turn post notifications on so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos, but specifically those emergency live streams that seem to be more of a daily occurrence now than anything, which I'm sorry. I don't control the news cycle, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.